yes, they should move away from strictly use-based oil changes and shift towards condition-based oil changes wherever practical, because condition monitoring, or at least oil analysis, tells you what's actually happening with the oil. So you might be draining good oil when you could still keep it in use for longer, or you, even worse, leaving degraded oil in use when you should be draining it sooner. So the trade-off is really much cost and effort. So effort to take the sample and implement an oil analysis program, and then of course the cost to actually do it. But I do believe, and we do see it, we see a number of people with engines. It's a bit of a gray area. We see people extending the oil drain with engines, but generally we have a number of customers who have hydraulic systems, big hydraulic systems that take 3 to 4 to 500 liters of oil. The recommended oil drain interval is around about 2,000 hours, but they will try and extend that to 3,000 or 4,000 hours, of course, putting other things in place, not just oil analysis. They'll put additional filtration, supplemental filtration. They'll put breathers onto the system, and they will use oil analysis as a tool to monitor that process. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that you do oil analysis so we can tell you when the oil is degraded or when there are contaminants, because then you need to take action to remove them. Lack of technical expertise, I totally agree with 100%. And it's so important. So oil analysis can only go so far. I've got a team of engineers and chemists who will take a look at those results and they'll turn them into something tangible. So we will point out things to you. We will say the viscosity is high. It could be as a result of soot. Check valve clearances, check for excessive blow-by. But ultimately, what it comes down to is whoever receives that report needs to be able to look at it and know what to do with that. And that's where we see a huge gap in industry. And it's one of the reasons we embarked on doing training for our customers. So, basically explaining to them, number one, what oil analysis is, but also showing them how to take the sample correctly, why you've got to do it like this. What do all those numbers mean on the report? What do you do with that? How do you take it further? But yes, I agree with that. Technical expertise is a big issue. Inconsistent monitoring practices, depends on which way you look at that. So the vast majority of commercial laboratories have very similar equipment because we are looking at measuring the same things. But even within those laboratories, there are going to be slight variations in terms of what it is that you basically are able to offer the customer. So I'm not quite sure if that's what people mean by inconsistent monitoring practices. Limited access to advanced technology. I don't know if advanced technology, it might work in certain situations, but not necessarily in others. So advanced technology for me would be the equivalent of maybe using online sensors, which, for telemetry, which, I mean, a lot of brand new equipment comes with that. But I mean, there are lots of other instruments that you can basically add onto your machine that the OEM will sort of guide you with. But it still means you need to do something with that data. It's all very well that you spend millions of rands putting all these devices on the machine. How do you translate that? What do you do with that? How does that translate to, okay, I now need to do step A, B, C, and D. So advanced technologies might work in some environments, but not in others.